Ruth Mac and Trasetta Washington, two top-notch career and business strategists, are here to help you defy standards and break boundaries. Join them as they share powerful insights that have already impacted thousands of people and will have a major impact on your career, life balance, and business.
Welcome, welcome. Hey, everyone. Hey, Trasetta. What an amazing day it is in this side of heaven. How's everyone feeling today? I am really looking forward to our episode here in Breaking Boundaries. As Trasetta and I, we always continue to evolve and brainstorm behind the scene. But for now, let's go ahead and let's do what we do best. If this is your first time coming in, you may want to go ahead and click like and share because you want to be part of this great celebration that we're wrapping up with from burnout to bliss, And our topic today is going to definitely hit home for many of you all. I know this to be true because I see you and I hear you. We hear you. And mind over matter and cultivating, basically removing some of the resilience around your mental and how to be able to be very aware of what's around our environment. You know, getting that high pressure identification away from our environment, being what ways can we cultivate a mental resilience is what I'm getting at when you're in pressure, in a high pressure environment, whether it be at home, whether it be at work, and most importantly, whether it even be within yourself, because we are a walking vessel. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let us go ahead and start because I'm excited to get this thing unfolded. How about you, Trasetta?
I'm excited for this chat today. So if you are tuning in live or if you're watching the replay, please make sure that you like and share this with another professional who you think would be interested in this topic of going from burnout to bliss and really cultivating that resilient mindset. I'm super excited to share on today. If you don't know who we are, just go check our profiles out, right? So that you can learn a little bit more about us. But we want to go ahead and dive into the topic at hand on today.
I'm with you. Because at this point, I know a lot of us were wanting to know what ways can we manage our stress and building this, what Trasetta and I are wanting to unfold with you all within the next few minutes on building resilience. And not only that, but also your mental matters. I think that's what should have been the topic. Like our mental health matters. Because if you're not fully centered, who wants to be around someone who may not be able to have a decent amount of communication or heart or harmony within themselves?
Right.
Let us know in the comments, that you want to show up as the best version of you. Right. And if that is you, then you definitely want to hang out for the next few minutes because we're wanting to be able to build that bridge, be able to help you all with what is the essential ways of combating some of these challenges that we're facing in today's time. A lot of people are becoming more aware. They're becoming more fully awareness with their consciousness, but sometimes there's still a lot of us that still just kind of going with the flow. Are still just not sure on what direction to move next in. It could be because of a whole variety of things. So let's jump in on what ways. We have a few and we want to touch in. And there's some techniques that myself and Trasetta think that can definitely help you and also can help ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and shoot in for them. What's going on?
Well, first of all, I want to kind of share just to give you an idea of how important it is for you to build mental resilience. I want to share with you a story. If you've been following us for a while, you may notice that I am not in my home office. I am in some different surroundings, right? So I am on travel. I'm in Houston, Texas, speaking at the National Association of Real Estate Brokers conference. I did a session on maximizing your productivity, and getting here was a little bit of a challenge and took some mental resilience. And so I want to kind of share with you what led up to the scenario and how I was able to overcome and not get swept up in what could have been a very ugly situation, right? So I was on my way to the airport. I was on the shuttle bus from the Park and Fly place. and I had all this anxiousness in my body. Now, I'm not an anxious flyer. Like, I don't have any issues flying. It doesn't bother me at all. But for whatever reason, I had all this anxiousness in my body. And so I got curious about it. First of all, I got curious about it and started asking myself, why am I so anxious? What is going on that could be causing me to be anxious? And I'm like, well, I've got plenty of time, so I'm not in danger of, missing my flight, being late and missing my flight. I had plenty of time. I had I had fully packed. I was fully prepared for my talk. So as I kind of went through the list of things that could be causing my anxiety or that anxiousness, I realized that there really wasn't a reason. There wasn't a legitimate reason for me to feel anxious. And so then I said, okay, well, if there's not a reason, then why am I feeling this? And I started to pray because, Ruth and I both are Christians. And so we believe in the power of prayer. And I started praying and talking to God, saying, why do I feel this way? What is happening? And I just put my trust and faith in him and just said, God, I don't know why I feel this way, but there must be something that's going to happen with my trip that is unplanned. And so I'm just going to trust that you are prepared, that you have fully prepared me for whatever lies ahead. And what ended up happening is, I get there, I go check in, I print my little bag tag because I had a check bag because I'm here for an entire week. And I go get in the bag drop line, which was super long. And it takes me about 30 minutes to finally get to the counter. And, I still have plenty of time. I wasn't worried about, like I said, I wasn't worried about missing my flight. Soon as I get to the counter, scan my boarding pass so that they can take my bag. And the lady said, she's looking in the computer and she says, oh, they just canceled your flight.
Wow.
And I'm like, no big deal. I always like to travel when I'm speaking. I like to travel a couple of days ahead of time so that I can have plenty of time to get there, get to wherever my destination is and get settled and be, kind of adjust to whatever the situation is. And you never know, things like this can happen. So that gives me a cushion, right? So if something like that happens. So she starts looking in the computer to see when she can get me rebooked. Right. She couldn't get me rebooked for 2 days, which was the day of my talk.
Wow.
And that obviously was not going to work. So I said, I need to get there today or in the morning because I'm speaking on Wednesday. So that's not going to work. And she's like, well, you're going to have to request a refund and book on another flight or book on another airline. Okay. But instead of me getting irate with her, or getting all frustrated about the situation and allowing my emotions to overwhelm me, I was able to just simply say, because it was outside of her control. It wasn't her fault that my flight was canceled.
Yeah.
Right.
How many of you all can come through? Yes. I love that. So what happened next? Yeah.
So I just took a moment. Instead of getting all upset, I was like, you know what? Okay. I need to pause and regroup. So I moved aside, found a quiet, which is relative in a bustling airport. But I found a space where I could sit down and kind of think, okay, what do I need to do? And came up with a quick strategy and was able to find a flight on another airline that was leaving 15 minutes later than I would have originally left, and got me in about an hour and a half later than originally planned, just because it had a connection. So I still made it to my destination on the same day, just a few hours later. But I did, and just so you know, like, I got the last seat on the flight. That seat was reserved just for me.
Wow, that's incredible.
My point here is that getting upset and yelling at the ticket agent, the airline agent, making a huge scene, none of that was going to be productive. It was only going to get me emotional and upset, and it would not have solved the problem that was at hand or the challenge that was set before me. But by being able to, but having already been mentally prepared for whatever was to come, I was able to quickly shift in a high pressure situation and make the adjustments that I needed to be able to still get everything taken care of. And that's why it's so, I share this with you because it matters. It matters what kind of mindset you take into these challenging situations. Listen, we've had, Ruth was talking about how the times that we're living in right now can be quite challenging. We've got the economic recession, housing prices are going through the roof. Even though COVID is supposedly over, the numbers are on the rise. People are getting, as people are traveling, the numbers are starting to rise again. And there's just so many, the political landscape that is in it. There's so many different things.
The list goes on. And I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this could probably even tally up a list very easily as well. But the fact that you brought up a major point of what things are in your control and what many things that are not in your control.
And we got some tips, right? Some things that are within your control that you can do when things feel out of control. What's our first tip for us, Ruth?
So I want us to dive in. Let us dive in on where it's been a common frame that we've been hearing quite a bit in different conversations. Maybe you and I, you're talking through this with your group of your girls or in the corporate rooms or perhaps in development, mindfulness and meditation. And you're probably thinking, well, do I have to be a Buddha or do I have to sit and just quiet all the noise around me? Well, let's do this. I want you to be able to challenge yourself and start practicing what is mindfulness. What is it to you? Why is it something that you have to be so imperative and paying close attention to? And why is it so important to your mental well-being? It is very essential. And so the first thing I want you all to be able to do, it can help you, number one, become more present. Who in here who's listening when it comes to getting up in the morning and you're finding yourself already running 100 miles per hour? And by the time you sit at your desk, you're wondering whether or not if you even brushed your hair or brushed your teeth or even did any of your regular routines, because that's how fast you got up from that bed. Mismatch. And then you walk out the door, you got 2 different shoes on. Let us know in the comments if you're not the type of person. So the whole point is you want to become more aware. It is so viable that we leverage our thoughts and not letting our thoughts control us, but us controlling it. Because we are our thought. Whatever soever a man thinketh, so is he. I truly stand on those grounds of those great ancient sayings. You got to be able to get your thoughts to start to be in a manageable way with your feelings. Yes or yes. And without judgment, number one, without judging. With Trasetta just mentioned it herself. She didn't judge the lady. She said, you're not doing your job. She didn't go escalate and say, I need to talk to your supervisor, or I need to be able to, you got to do what you got to do to get me on the right next flight in this very minute. No, it came to a point where you now have to go from within. What ways can you regulate through meditation? Some people say you can start by 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Listen, I can't regulate your time, but what I can offer you or suggest to you is you may want to go ahead and start small, especially if you're the type of person that 15 minutes is a big deal to you, or 20 minutes is a huge deal to you. So you may want to start small. Start by improving your focus, because it'll help you reduce your stress. It'll help you even enhance your overall well-being, your heart rate. It's going to start regulating. You're going to start being mindful. Why is my heart racing? Why am I feeling like I have to have a fight or flight moment every time I get off of bed? It's all about practicing mindfulness. What else can we kind of help them expand on different techniques outside of what I just shared?
Another one is exercise, right? Doing some sort of physical activity like going for a walk or yoga, riding a bike, swimming, whatever, doing some form of physical activity on a regular basis helps to reduce stress, and it releases those happy hormones, those endorphins that helps to improve your mood, right? Like that makes you feel good about yourself and about life. We need more happy We need more happy hormones in our body. But not only does physical exercise help with your mental well-being, it also can enable you to get better sleep, right? When you physically exert yourself, your body is more tired when it's time to go to bed, so you can get deeper, better sleep, which is something we talked about. Was that last week? I think we talked about sleep last week. And so, by doing some exercise, you can improve your mood, get that better sleep, both of which are going to be huge contributors to your overall mental well-being. What else you got, Ruth?
I'm telling you, the power of more. I was telling you that I was listening to a podcast by Ed Merlet, and I may be butchering his name. The power of more than one more day. You know how we said we could do it next, we'll do it tomorrow. I just need one more turnaround on this. I need just one more. The power of one more can be looked upon in so many factors. How about looking at more than one when it comes to social connections? Maintaining a genuine relationship, nurturing your social, whether it be your friends, your neighbors, your community at large, it matters to us and it matters to me. And most importantly, how are you keeping your level of social connections? Is it something that you want to see yourself do on an ongoing basis, or is it when it's convenient to you, where you want to make time to the side? I say give yourself permission even when you don't want to. Make it to where do the things that you know for sure that others are doing who are successful that nobody else is doing. A lot of people think just being a hermit is healthy. Guess what? Study shows that it impacts your health and even shorten your lifespan on earth if you're not out there being more socially, because humans need that drive. We need that support group. We need to be able to share some of our emotional common denominators that we have in common. Like, girl, I see you. I was going through the same thing as well. What, working out? Girl, I felt like my chest was going to fall out when I was calling myself doing some bench and presses and pull-ups. Listen, we can relate and we can have that common ground where we can share each other's stories. We can cry. We can lean on each other's shoulders. We can say, girl, I see you. I hear you. Oh man, I got your back. I get it. It can get so intensive and even labor intensive if you're trying to do it alone. What ways can we definitely help them with this mental breakthrough as we're breaking boundaries on many techniques that we can share out? What else?
Also be mindful about how much time you spend watching media, news media and social media. There's a lot of negative news and negative information that we're bombarded with on a regular basis. So if you can limit that, then that can help you to decrease your stress and anxiety. Because I mean, let's be real. When we start watching all the negative news, it can start to cause some anxiety to rise up in us. And you start to look at the world through a negative, everything is bad, right? It's easy to kind of slip into that negative mindset. But if you can start to be mindful in your consumption of the media that's out there, then you can start to, you can kind of keep the stress and anxiety at bay from that type of exposure. So, take breaks from the news on a regular basis and focus more on watching and listening to positive and uplifting content like Breaking Boundaries podcast, right? Shameless plug there. A shameless plug. But, instead of just sitting and binging, watching CNN or scrolling on your phone at news, maybe set a timer and say, I'm only going to watch, read, or listen to the news for 15 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day, whatever the case may be, instead of just kind of getting into that binge space, so that you can just be much more mindful about it and feed yourself with things that are more positive. One thing that I say all the time as it relates to productivity, and I think it's applicable here, is that what you focus on expands. So if you are focusing on the negative, then you are expanding. You're essentially putting a magnifying glass up to whatever the negative thing is. But if you would focus on the positive, then you put the magnifying glass on that and you make the positive bigger than the negative, right? So be mindful of where you're aiming that proverbial magnifying glass of life.
And I love that. I love that you're mentioning that. And now we want to be able to know that, well, I don't have the time. And that's where we want to be able to help you all on you want to leverage your time. You want to because I look at time as being your bank account. Where are you spending it at? Where is it all flowing through? So that's going to bring me in on how do you prioritize? Time management and prioritization is so critical. It's so important that you want to be able to organize it, just like you want to organize your money. I do believe they work hand to hand with each other. And so if your time matters, because people say my money is my time and my time is money, I get all that, but let's start organizing it. Organize your tasks, whether it be at home, at work, especially with school. If you're the mom, if you're the soccer mom, and if you're the mom or the dad, if you will, where you're now having to go back and get adapted to getting the kids back to school again, and then getting your groove back and maintaining and leveraging your day-to-day schedule. How about start prioritizing it now? Don't wait until school bell rings and you're finding yourself all scrambled again, all over the place. Who can relate? Let us know in the comments. What ways are you helping yourself be more proactive versus reactive, and having to find yourself like Trasetta was saying earlier, where your anxiety is taking control of you and you're not maintaining and managing your control of your emotions when things are out of your control. But if they are in your control, let's start organizing it. Let's break it down and from the larger task into smaller bite size, to where it's more obtainable for you. It's more realistic, right? It's more manageable when you're having steps to focus on. I even have it to where, believe it or not, I don't just necessarily use my devices. I even go traditional, where I constantly have a calendar on the wall, whiteboard. I even have it the regular way where you can write it in. It's on my device. I have multiple. Where am I getting at? I need ways to be focused and reminded on critical priorities that's top priority on my list. And when I see that, it just helps me to know that I'm managing my time and also my money and my priorities in a way that I'm also being present. It all lines up. Do you see how we just touch on all these elements that we just talked about in terms of strategies on what ways we can power our mind to work together and all of this holistically? It all is connected. It's all connected.
Absolutely. And it's also important for you to treat yourself with kindness.
Yeah.
Right. Give yourself grace. Speak to yourself in a positive way instead of, and listen, I'm guilty of this. I used to do this all the time. You know, I would bump into things or drop things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so clumsy. Why are you so clumsy? You know, and that's negative self-talk. And so now, rather than saying the negative aspect of things, I try to turn those things around to something that's more positive. For example, if I feel tired, right, because we were just talking about focusing, you know, what you magnifying things, right? So rather than saying I'm tired and magnifying that, I'll say something like, you know, like I'm waiting on my second win, or, you know, I'm anticipating, you know, restoring my energy, something to that nature. So
speaking those things that are speaking on those things that are not as though they were. Yes.
Right. So, you know, like, and you can, by doing that, you can shift things, like even saying, you know, rather than saying this is, you know, oh, that's so expensive, I might say that's luxury priced, or that's not, the price is not a priority for me, you know, for me right now. But reframing things in a way that is self-compassionate and positive. So you want to make sure that you're practicing positive self-talk, avoid criticizing yourself, and be patient with yourself, recognizing that it's okay to experience challenges. It's okay to come up against some setbacks during these challenging times. Like, that is a part of life. It's normal. But you may not have the ability to control what happens, but you have the ability to control how you respond to what happens. And
I
by
like
speaking positively about that and giving yourself some grace, giving yourself some self-compassion is going to help better give you the experience. Just like I was talking about my travel experience, because I brought a pot, I didn't get upset. I allowed myself to be able to come at a difficult situation, a challenging situation with resilience and mental fortitude, as opposed to
that.
devolving and getting consumed by what could have been, a very negative experience, right?
This is so, so good. You just bringing the practical in there. Man, you've dropped so much in our short period of time together as time is wrapping up here. I want you all to be able to close this in, because a lot of us, when I talk to high performers on an ongoing basis and I share with them, can you add some of your people side on your resume? Can you show the people what's the humanity part about you? What's so unique that you may be able to do out there in the community, maybe something that you find hold dear to that has you to stand apart? That brings us in by wrapping this up with a bow about, have you considered some hobbies? Have you even considered what's the creative outlets that you can even fully dominant in, and want to be able to engage that with others and see what's the common ways of maybe teaching it? If you're really good at writing and crafting and painting, and that's something that you find to be so therapeutic, but yet and behold, you don't put the time aside to do that. But yet and behold, you're finding yourself just putting it to the back burner, right? These are elements that can definitely help you. Number one, relieve stress. It will help you just come in tune and alignment with yourself. You'll now being able to channel ways of your emotions and not channeling it outward. But yes, you want to channel it outward. Let me take that back. You're not channeling it outward and doing an outburst to the flight attendant or to the flight person out there where it's out of your control.
Right.
It's whether or not you want to take a moment, maybe start doing your cooking, if you're a chef or culinary art, and start letting yourself to be in a very holistic concert with what you're really great at. Finding basically what I'm getting at is just finding an activity. Yes. Find activities that bring you joy, especially while we're still in this very interesting time that we're in, right? I just wanted to kind of bring this home with you all. Let us know in the comments. You see how all of this could definitely help you with the mind over matter, being able to be fully present, and all the way down to being more creative with the human side of you, being more connected with the others around you in your craft and your talents and your gifts. It's always important that you find that, listen, you don't have to come back this alone. There's so many ways to practice this, and so many ways to show compassion, and just unplug and be truly present with you. Now, if you find this to be super valuable, I want you to go ahead and like, and go ahead and share and subscribe. As we mentioned in every ways that we want you to be connected with us on our YouTube channel. We want to come in and help you break some of this, change some of the rules that you know that you've been connected in a way that wasn't connected. It wasn't serving you. It wasn't bringing you to your highest version of yourself. So let's go ahead and remember this. Everyone's journey is different. It's unique. It's unique in its own way. So feel free to explore different techniques to find what works best for you. And if that is you, if you find it to be challenging, to cope with stress or even maintain mental well-being, consider maybe perhaps seeking, experts out there supporting guidance within the mental health professional. We don't want you to face this alone. And as Trasetta mentioned, it is important that you even sit back and identify those emotions. Allow yourself to see, where is it coming from? Why is it even present? Why is it even surfacing now? Like something had to bring it into the surface. Is that an alert? Is it alerting you, or is it a warning sign? Is it relevant to what's going on in your now? And then sometimes you may not know how to do that. So those mental health professionals is what I'm getting at. My point is, they can help guide you and help personalize that guidance and the strategy based on your specific needs and circumstances. Is this all right? Is this benefiting you all? Let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know. This is very helpful. Yes.
I just want to say one thing. I just thought about, this is a skill that you can develop, right? When you see people who are able to remain calm under pressure, and they don't fly off the handle. They practice that. Yes. Right? It's not necessarily something that comes naturally to us, but we can cultivate the type of mindset that enables us to be calm, cool, and collected during challenging and high stress situations. And so, going back to kind of what we talked about just a moment ago with that self-compassion, if you do happen to slip up and you have an outburst, it's okay. Be okay. Okay, what can I do differently next time? And start to maybe you don't catch it right away. It could be a process, right? Maybe next time, all right, you catch yourself after the fact, and you probably, like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you, whatever, and each time you'll get better at managing it, right? But it's never going to be a perfect thing. It's just a skill that you develop, and you do your best to portray. You do your best to portray that mental resilience when challenges come your way.
Well, awesome. Listen, everyone, I am so excited that you all take the time out of your day to know that mind over matters, and from burnout to bliss, it stops today. You want to be able to become more aware, and let us know in the comments how you're going to leverage some of these strategies. Go ahead and share and like. And we want you to know that we're going to come back. And if you want to go back and hit replay on this, you definitely can. And also take notes. And like Trasetta said, you want to make it to where it's a practice. Don't just listen to it. Oh, that was good today. That was really great vibes. Let's make it a practice. Let's make it a routine. And I'm going to end off with that. Until next time, my friends, have an amazing day. Explore this journey by being more intentional. Let's go ahead and continue to breaking boundaries together. All right. See you all next time.
Bye for now.
Join and subscribe with career strategist Ruth Mac and business strategist Trasetta Washington to the Breaking Boundaries podcast each week. You too can experience the limitless potential of rewriting rules and creating an extraordinary future for yourself.